Coming up on Network Africa, Burundi's President Pierre Nkurunziza launches referendum campaign to prolong his stay in office until 2034. South African High Court orders President Jacob Zuma to pay legal costs for obstructing justice into alleged influence peddling. European Union leaders plan to curb Africa immigration from across the Mediterranean into Europe. Hello and welcome to the program. I am Ayotunde Balugu. Burundi's President Pierre Nkurunziza has launched a referendum campaign to prolong his stay in power until the year 2034. The push is aimed at adopting a draft constitution that would allow him to serve another 2 7-year terms from 2020. He told supporters on Tuesday at the central Gitenga village that those who oppose his bid by speech or action will cross the red line. The campaign comes after the government launched a funds drive for the 2020 election. The move, which the government says is voluntary, has been condemned by rights groups and described as organized robbery. Opposition figures in exile say the referendum will be the funeral of the country's 2000 peace agreement that ended a 13-year civil war in which more than 300,000 people were killed. Burundi plunged into crisis in 2015 when President Nkurunziza refused to step down after his term ended. And to Liberia, where the country's electoral commission says the country will hold a delayed presidential runoff vote on December the 26th. Electoral Commission Chairman Jerome Korokoya added that campaigning could start immediately but must end by December the 24th. The previous poll, that was held up for several weeks after a candidate who was knocked out of the first round vote decided to take his allegations of fraud to court. Last week, the Supreme Court dismissed the complaint from third-placed finisher Charles Bromskin's Liberty Party. The final round of voting is between ex-footballer George Weah and Vice President Joseph Boakai. To Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta has called for unity and says he is willing to dialogue with his competitors and engage all Kenyans and the country's leaders as a means to driving the nation forward. This comes after the presidential rerun elections last month that his main rival Raila Odinga boycotted. Kenya's opposition National Super Alliance coalition had planned to swear in its leader Odinga as alternative president on the same day, but then later announced it had postponed the plans, easing political tensions and opening a window for possible talks with the government of Mr. Kenyatta. However, the coalition says that any discussion with the government must have electoral justice as part of its agenda, but Kenyatta maintains any talks with anyone will not touch on the concluded elections.
I have seen a future, and it is at hand. The politics and the pursuit of politics for politics' sake must be a thing of the past. The pursuit of political leadership for economic liberation is our future, and it is up to us as Kenyans to deliver it. The future is now. It is about a healthy nation built on equal opportunity for all, dignity for all, and the pursuit of material prosperity for all. As I have stated before, and I repeat, as President of Kenya, I am willing and commit to engaging all Kenyans and all Kenyan leaders, including my worthy competitors, irrespective of their religious or ethnic affiliation, in fashioning this new paradigm shift.
Well, Zimbabwe's political parties are urging voters to have an extra 2 months to sign up for next year's election after the political crisis disrupted the registration process. The ruling ZANU-PF party and opposition groups hope to meet later today to ask electoral authorities to extend next week's voter registration deadline into February. Douglas Morzora of the opposition movement for democratic change says that last month's military takeover and the removal of former President Robert Mugabe has disturbed a lot of things. He added that during that period, many potential voters didn't go out to register because there was serious political uncertainty in the country. He's also quoted as saying that thousands of people of voting age previously excluded from voting because their parents are from other countries in Southern Africa who have only been able to register since a court ruling last week. Meanwhile, the South African High Court in Pretoria has ordered President Jacob Zuma to pay legal costs for trying to avoid a demand from the anti-corruption watchdog for an official inquiry into alleged influence peddling in his government, a bid derided by a judge as clear abuse of the judicial process. There are allegations that the ANC leader tried to stop the release of the report, which looked into allegations that wealthy Indian-born business family, the Guptas, had undue influence on his government. The report, which was published in November back in 2016, after Mr. Zuma withdrew his case, found evidence of possible corruption at the top level of his government. But then the president and the Gupta family deny any wrongdoing. However, the court will rule later on whether Mr. Jacob Zuma can be legally forced by the recommendation of former public protector head Thuli Madonsela to hold an inquiry into the allegations.
We were satisfied with the first step, which is what the public protector did, because you must oppose corruption. What was most disappointing is the fact that despite all of these pronouncements which were made in the judgment by the president to say he wants to institute a commission of inquiry, he's used every legal process to try and obfuscate the matter. So it's good that a cost order was given against him. But I thought what was also profound today is the assertion we've always held, is that A, the ANC has protected the president and the president has failed to lead. I will say that publicly because it's clear Jacob Zuma has never been interested in investigating state of capture allegations, regardless of how they were laid, who it came from. It should not be a remedial action that a head of government must investigate impropriety that is said against him. He should, if he's a decent leader, a person committed to the values of the Constitution, be the first to take action. Jacob Zuma failed on that account, and clearly his party acted to protect him in this regard.